Okay, so my facilities update for the fall, and I'd just like to articulate what our team does. And we effectively leverage district resources to create and maintain a resilient, safe, healthy, and beautiful environment that reflects a culture of excellence and opportunity. I underlined opportunity, it being the core value. And provide operational support for student-centered programs, activities, and events.
And that picture is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
I have good pictures. He just had spaceships. So this is, speaking of good pictures, I took this one the other day as I walked around. So tonight I'm going to talk about capital project preparation. Our summer of last summer's 2024 facilities projects, a little bit about transportation, and I have one slide on security. So capital project preparation, as you all know, we have the turf, track, and fencing project. I'm not going to, the last meeting, Jeremy went over a lot of details on this, but we have that coming, hopefully starting around June 1st. And then we have the next capital project that if it's approved, it'll happen in the summer of 2026. That'll include all those things that Jeremy talked about, the parking lot redo, the new heating system at the elementary school, nurses suite, library, all of those things on the list. So what I'm working on a lot right now is collaborating with the architects, with Jeremy and other administrators and the operations team, and refining budgets so that I can identify facilities needs and wants that we can accomplish in-house and therefore exclude from the major capital projects, right? So if everything we wanted to do to improve everything that Travis needed for the middle school or Margaret needed for the elementary school was all put into capital projects, it would take budget money away from the big things we need to do. So I try to just really think about ways to actually collaborate with them on what their needs are, and then think about ways to accomplish those off the line from the capital projects. So the summer of 2024 work. Now, during the school year, about 80% of our time in my team is geared towards operational support. Supporting, cleaning classrooms, supporting board meetings, cleaning up after them. There's something going on to PAC tonight. I'm sure my guys are here doing that. Sporting events, everything. We're operational support. That's what we do. And about 20% of our time is little projects maintenance projects, basically. In the summer, things reverse. In the summer, we scale down on the activities and programs stuff that happens on campus, although there still are summer programs like ESY and some sports and conferences, things we have to support and set up for and clean up after and make space for and all that. But we can spend a lot more of our time on other things. So one thing we do is, as you're well aware, when you come back here in September, we clean every inch of every building, from refinishing the floors. If paint jobs need to be done, they'll pull all the lights out and clean every light bulb and every square inch. It's beyond a deep clean. That's it. And then after we get all that done, we can utilize the resources we have to do some of the smaller projects that I talked about that we can pull out of the capital projects, right? The resources that I'm fortunate to have here, number 1, 2, and 3 really are my amazing operations team that we have here. It's not a huge team. You might think it is, but it's very, very small for the square footage that we have to take care of, but they do an excellent job, and they're very talented and passionate about what they do here, and they really lead the way for us. This year, our summer workers I've been here 8 summers, maybe a top 1 or 2 summer squads that we got in. We usually hire about 12 people, whether they're college students or others that will come in and help our team accomplish these things, right? So if you think about 12 people, it sounds like a lot, but it's 3 in each building and 3 outside. That's what we have to help us. And then our team here, our cleaners and custodial staff will lead teams to get what we want to get done between the cleaning and these other projects. Also, in order to get things, a lot of things done, we partner with local contractors. We hire them to come in and we work with them, and I'll show you some examples of that coming up here. We have some volunteers this year. We had Zach Fitzmaurice did an Eagle Scout project. He came to me about a year ago, and we've been collaborating on what he can do to improve the trail. He's done some trail work there. He did that this summer. Then, of course, Mike's tech team, he's always very generous, especially with Matt Brady, and giving him over to help me with a lot of things. Really a big help there. And then, of course, you all give, with Jeremy and Grace and the board, give me and still trust in me to effectively use the resources and the budgets, the operating budgets to make a difference here. So, on to the projects. Elementary school, others did, but I hated this color from the first minute I walked in that school. This yellow color kind of made me feel a little.
Canary.
So we wanted to change that. It's a big school. I don't know if you've ever painted the interior of a house, but the elementary school is huge. We painted it this color. I let Margaret pick the color actually, but I approved it. I could have vetoed it if I really hated it, and it came out real nice. So this was summer workers, custodians, the ones who could paint real well, did the hallways. I had to hire a local contractor to do the more dangerous painting that's on the stairwells that we had to paint. Yeah. So that was the combination of efforts that went into getting the entire, all the hallways in the elementary school painted and the bathrooms. Other thing we did, this is something that we looked at as part of our capital projects committee real early on, and bathrooms, as you know, if you've ever done one in your house, are very expensive. But the bathrooms at the elementary school, some of them are from 1956, when they were built, and not much was done with them, and they really needed to be upgraded. So rather than spending millions of dollars in a capital project on redoing the bathrooms, we collaborated with, we have an in-house plumber who put in new fixtures. The plumbing fixtures, we had the team, custodial team, put in new fixtures like the paper dispensers and mirrors and vents, and replaced all of the interior things. We hired a flooring company to come and get rid of those old little tiles with a lot of gross grout in them, right? So, and replace the floor. So there's 27 bathrooms in the elementary school, which is why it seemed like an overwhelming amount to put into a capital project. Really would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. We did this work for about $4,000 per bathroom. Wow. Okay, so we saved hundreds of thousands by doing it. We did 13 this summer. We're going to do the other 14 next summer. That's the plan. Middle school, this is where I took shop from Bruce Johnson back in 1979. This was his room, and it was a classroom. It was a big classroom. We have a guidance suite that was inadequate for our growing needs there as far as social and emotional support for our students. And we had 3 offices and a conference room, and we tore that out, and we utilized this space to build a new student support suite. Now, just like when you do renovations in a house, one thing leads to the next. We had, if you can see in the back right corner there, where's Mike's pointer? That's a roof drain that it takes all the water from the roof and sends it down underneath the school, and it meets other roof drains and goes out the other end, right? over the years, for the last 30 or so years, we've had water problems in this end of the school, moisture problems, and when we had huge rains, these rooms would flood. And we were trying to get to the source of it, figure out why, but I certainly needed to figure it out before I built a nice new guidance suite in there, right? So we figured it out, and with the torrential rains that we get now, that all the rain comes in one shot, it's just too much water for that system that was designed in 1972 to handle. So instead of having to go underneath the building, we exited out the side between the schools out there and hit one of the catch basins there. Right. So it was a little bit of work. That was a local contractor who did that work for us there. This is the new student support suite. That's the entryway. I'll take you on a little tour. And there's Mr. Kane, and there's another shot, and there's a new conference room. The staff who I collaborated with the whole time, along with Travis and Jamie, really like the way it came out. They're thrilled with it. And now we have this beautiful new conference room, and we have 4 really nice offices. This was now the old student support suite with the 3 little offices and the little conference room that was no longer adequate. We tore all those walls down, and we had a contractor do some of the demo, but then we did all the finishing work to make it into a really nice classroom in the corner there. Outside, we did some grounds work here. This was just finishing up some baseball stuff. It's going to sound like a small thing, but 24 years of baseball on this field has caused the clay to create these mounds around the infield, and they have become dangerous where a ground ball will jump up and hit somebody in the face or something. So didn't want that. So we cut out 3 feet around the entire baseball field infield, and it took that lump out and had to plant new grass there. We also we had our kids pitchers warming up on the sidewalk and stuff, and that was not the way things are done now. So we had our guys build this bullpen out there. We're going to work on getting fencing around that soon. Cool. Other work that you haven't seen unless you travel on the Wellness Trail often. This water under this campus is the bane of my existence. I battle water all the time. So the trail up near Foothill Street where it goes through there was always muddy, and whenever I did something to mitigate that, whether I put boardwalks down or whatever, and it wasn't a real solution. I was worried somebody was going to fall through one of the boards in the boardwalk and get hurt or something. Didn't want that. So for safety and to have this trail be really accessible, more accessible for more people, I did a final solution up there, and we had our wonderful summer workers. These guys were great. These are 2 of the 3. They killed it. A lot of this stuff had to be done by hand. We had to dig some drainage. We basically built a road through the woods up there. Yeah. And this was all elbow grease and some truckloads of gravel. What didn't cost us a lot, but I was up there every day. Eagle Scout work, Zach wanted to work on the trail, upgrade the trail. We talked about a lot of different options. One thing I wanted to do was to make the trail accessible for our gator in case there's an injury or something, and for maintenance of it. So the gator couldn't make the corner back in the back corner of the backfield over there. This isn't the most exciting work in the world, but it needed to be done. So Zach built a retaining wall and filled it in so that we can get a gator around that corner. See, there's the corner with his helpers standing around him there. He also redid the sign at the trailhead, and he's putting, as we speak, he's putting in, it's a mile-long trail, as most of you know, and he's putting in quarter-mile markers around, posts in with quarter-mile markers, so that people using the trail will have a guide. As he's a cross-country runner, so he loved the trail.
That's great.
Anyway, dealing with the solar farm. We fought against it. It didn't.
Lost.
We lost, and now we have to deal with it, basically, right? So the things I and Jeremy were most concerned about, of course, safety. I don't want our students to access that. That's what we think about first always. Stormwater was a major concern because of because when we have major rains, it does flood from that property, even before the solar farm, over our parking lot. I have videos of it, and I didn't. We're very concerned about all of the runoff creating even more problems when we have big storms. We expressed those concerns at the planning board meetings. We've talked, and they said they came up with a plan. They're charged with not worsening the problem, as far as their town planning guy explained that to us, their town engineer, that, but that's hard to prove, right? So we don't know what 11 inches of rain in 3 hours are going to do, so that's what they're charged with. But as soon as they started cutting trees down, I went and I met with the contractor who was doing the work, and he showed me what his plans were. Jeremy was very skeptical about whether they're going to work. I'm a little less skeptical. I think they have a decent plan. I worked with him to even improve some of that and build a big stone wall where the water comes up and we can slow the water down. That's the job we want to do there. And then aesthetic, and this is something that maybe some people don't care about as much as I, but the bucolic nature of this campus it's a beautiful campus. So when you have all these solar panels up there, I was just like, oh, this is ugly. So so what can we do about that? I planted a few pine trees, so maybe 30 years from now, I'm hoping people say, what solar farm? So that's the idea.
I like how you picked 30 years, because 30 years from now is when the solar panels are taken away. That's when the lease is up.
Okay, so
that's-
those trees will fill in. I did the math on it. Maybe 20 years it'll be great.
Maybe even faster.
I won't be around.
With all the water going down there, that
Yeah, they'll get
the
extra
trees
water.
grow faster.
If it rains again.
Carry the nutrients.
This is another thing. I don't know if anybody noticed, but it was kind of something I've been trying to get done for a while here. This is the grounds tent. Our grounds crew was operating from the elementary school next to the transportation building. That grounds tent doesn't owe us anything. It used to be positioned next to the district office on the top. The first summer I was here in this job, right before the board was going to come see the work we did, we dragged that tent down next to the transportation building. It got stuck halfway on the hill. I'm like, oh my God, the board is coming here, and we have a tent stuck on our hill.
so
It was very stressful. Jeremy was like, just tear it down, just drive right through it.
I had been the superintendent for like 10
That
minutes,
wall.
and there was a giant green
so
tent
funny.
stuck in the middle of the elementary school driveway
It was
3 days before
very,
school opened.
very nerve-wracking for me, especially when I was 7 years ago when I was brand new here in this
my.
job. But anyway, we put it into place, and they used it for the last 7 years down there. But I didn't like the work environment. Number one, water would run underneath it. They're trying to operate in there. It wasn't well heated or any of that. It wasn't a really. I didn't like the work environment for our really wonderful grounds crew. Also, in looking at efficiencies, about 80% of our work is done here,
Right.
the grounds guys, because we support the athletic programs that are mostly here. We have 2 schools and there's much bigger campus here. So 80% of the work is here. So if our grounds crew starts here, their day, rather than over there and having to get their equipment together and then bring it over here, it saves probably half hour, an hour every day and creates more efficiencies for them. So it also, we're also jam-packed over there in the way of parking, as everybody knows, at the elementary school. And we're bringing in there's an opportunity, we're bringing in a new bus company to one of my goals is to get more buses off of the top lot at the elementary school because of the crowded situation there. I didn't like it. And I also wanted to create more of an independent space for Royal Coach to operate out of rather than in our office with us. We're kind of two separate entities that work together, so I want to create that. And so pulling the maintenance vehicles, their personal vehicles, and this tent out of there created a space for me to move buses down from the top, create a space for them over there. And so that's what it looks like now, and that's a little, that's the operations trailer that Royal Coach brought in that we hooked up for them, and that's where they operate out of, and we created about 15 parking spaces, 20 parking spaces over there. So that worked. So where do the grounds guys go? So that building was ugly and falling apart. So Jeremy had thought about a bunch of different options, went back and forth, but killed two birds with one stone again here. We did a renovation on this building, a little one, and made it into a much nicer building, much more useful for the guys, and use it as like a Putnam Valley branding opportunity with a big banner on the side. I have that lit up, and they're very happy there, and it's a really, I don't want to say it's a beautiful building, but it's much nicer. And because of the roof, I made the roof tilted towards southwest, so we can put solar up there, and it'll be really good later. Anyway, transportation transportation's next on my list here. And just to remind folks, in Putnam Valley we have a hybrid bus transportation service where our Putnam Valley employees, bus drivers and monitors generally do the out-of-district and special needs transportation. And then our contract company does the to and from school, the big buses that run, you'll see on the roads every day. And they do the sports runs and a few of our out-of-district runs as well. And so, as you know from our presentation last year, we substantially expanded our team in Putnam Valley, and we brought a bunch of really good people on board. Really thrilled with the people that have come in, both the drivers and the monitors, just great people, and they're doing a great job for us. So I want to welcome them, and hats off to them. If you see people you don't recognize, haven't seen here, driving one of our buses, say hello. They're really cool people. Equipment update. The zero emissions buses are on hold. As I was pursuing this project to do the zero emissions buses to meet Hochul's mandate, I made a presentation that we could do it at not much of a higher cost than it would be, or no higher cost than it would be to continue with gas buses. That's when their estimated number for an electric bus was going to come in at $350,000. When I actually got the quotes, I drove a few of them. We test drove them. We checked them out. And then I said, okay, well, give me a quote. And that came in more like $450,000. Yeah. So that $100,000 problem, talked to Dr. Lufton. We just said, okay, until either the price comes down or the incentives go up or something changes, we're kind of just, I know enough about it. I can make moves real quick when things change, and you guys give me the push to do it.
I don't think it'll happen anymore.
Okay.
David, now with the new administration, the cost and it never made sense to me. The electric bus, it just never did. And,
right.
So I think there's a lot of like minds like mine now.
Yeah, and but one thing when I was analyzing the equipment over there, really to get to just understand the economics of the new contract with the bus company and to look at this EV mandate. I looked at the routes that we were doing in-house, and a lot of them to our out-of-district were really like, 1 or 2 or 3 students to Poughkeepsie or to Yonkers or, somewhere else, and we're using those small buses to do that, right? And that's what we had. We had 13 small buses that we were running around every day. They got about 10 miles to the gallon, and, so we bought 3. We're getting 2 more on the way of these hybrid minivans.
Love it.
They
That's the way to
cost.
go.
We can get 2 for 1. They cost half as much
Yep.
as the small buses, and they get 3 or 4 times the gas
Oh, yeah,
mileage.
yeah.
So it's
The hybrids,
and so we've
That should be the way to go.
executed on that plan, and it's really working out well.
Yep, good.
Great.
How many people can you get in the vans?
7 passengers, so we get six students.
That's good.
Are
Yeah.
they accessible, like wheelchair, or do you have any that are?
No, not for wheelchairs. We do have a wheelchair small van that we use. Maybe a small bus. We call them vans, so I have to
Yes.
check that. But it's 22 passenger vans. We
Okay.
have one that we took some seats out and have wheelchair
Wheelchair
accessible. And if we have more needs for that, we can borrow one from Royal. They have extra ones too.
Great.
I love the hybrid. That's the way to
So
go.
Royal Coach, as you know, we have a new contract, and this is always very nerve-wracking for us to have a contract company that's not our employees, that we trust with the safety of our students and that. So we really worked hard negotiating a contract with the company. Not only did they win the bid on the price, but they're bringing some other things to the table. As far as technology, but one thing I'm a little crazy about safety for the students. So students standing on buses, I can't take it. All right, so in the aisle, it drives me crazy. So and that ends up also, if students are moving around inside the bus, it causes some other discipline issues, especially for elementary school students. The high schoolers are sound asleep on their way to school. They're not a problem. It's really the elementary school students. So we set up a meeting with all of the drivers, our drivers, Royal Coach drivers, and the administrative team from the different the assistant principals to talk about a plan on how to get students better behaved and safely, from my standpoint, just safely behaved on the buses. So now we're trusting each other, working with each other to work on that and to improve our students' safety from the students' standpoint in the bus. These buses have a lot of cameras on them, right? So we have four cameras inside the bus that now have different angles so we can see inside the seats.
Great.
Okay, we use these not for surveillance, but for investigations. Sure. Okay, that's what we do. It has cameras on the stop arms on there. When the stop sign goes out, if you drive by that stop sign, it's going to take a picture of your
Take a
license plate, you're going to
picture,
get a ticket in the mail, 100%. So it has those cameras. It also has cameras that face out the front of the bus and are on the driver. It's a third camera system that's on the bus that is for, I won't call it AI, Michael. Okay, he admonished me. It's not AI, but it uses a recognition of movements to train the bus drivers on how to drive more safely. So what it does is if the driver takes their hand off the wheel, they get dinged. They get notified at the dispatcher gets that bus driver will get dinged. If they go across the double yellow, if they speed over 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, they get dinged.
Wow.
If they come to a stop too quickly, they get dinged. If they roll through a stop sign, they get dinged. Right? So and they get rewarded for having fewer and fewer of these things. It's not a punishment thing. They're really trying to train these drivers on just get in the habit of doing everything right. Don't roll through a stop sign. Don't,
Right.
don't do any of this. So it's a really cool feature that I'm looking over the dispatcher's shoulder to see how it works and make sure that it is working the way they said it is. So that's another technology feature that they have for safety. They also, we're piloting a parent app that they have, the technology where they're going to be able to geofence your location, and when the bus gets within a quarter mile of your house, you'll get
I like
notified.
that. That's
I
good.
love that.
We're working on it. We're going to make sure it works before we roll it out,
Yeah.
right?
I get my alerts every morning.
See, it's working so far.
Yeah.
I'm following a Lake Peak Skill bus and a Roaring Brook bus, and every morning my phone dings and tells me it's within. You can actually set custom areas,
Yeah.
so you can set, if you wanted to sort of know when it's at, a little bit further down the street, you can pick that location, or otherwise you can just pick your own home location, depending upon how close the bus goes to your actual address.
Yeah, that's cool.
But we know there's other districts that are using this technology. They've actually taken the step to move from a commercial-based program that tracks the bus to their own in-house program. So that's what we're waiting for. They're in the development phase of their in-house program, which will give them greater flexibility, ability to quickly incorporate enhancements. So that's something that they're working on, and it is already deployed in some districts. And I think we're getting pretty close. I would say maybe right after New Year's, maybe would be a good time to roll it out. We have flyers ready. We have training manuals. Actually, Dan helped us create, or Alex helped us create a quick little training manual for how families can find their transportation route number, which is the information they need. So more to come on that, but we're excited for it. And it's something they're going to continue to expand. Like their plan is to be able to see the entirety of the bus route.
Yeah.
You'll still get alerted when it's within your zone, but if you want to pick up your phone and see where is the bus today, like did we miss it? Did it pass my stop or is it not yet here? You'll be able to pick up the app, open it, and see exactly where on the route the bus is.
Yeah, that is.
That's coming. Probably won't be there when we start, but it's something they're working towards.
Yeah, so, when we were negotiating the contract with Royal Coach and Beacon Mobility as their parent company, they talked about this technology that we were excited about, but they actually have it, and we're implementing it, we're using it, and we're learning how to roll it out appropriately. So that's some pretty cool stuff. Last slide here is safety and security. I just want to do a cursory thing here, just give the board an update on what we've been doing. We work really hard. It's on making sure that we're as safe as we possibly can be here. We partner with law enforcement. As you know, we have an SRO here, SPOs at the other two schools. That's our primary line of defense. But we also partner with law enforcement in our drilling. We want to bring anybody that might respond here to our school, whether they're Yorktown Police, State Police, bring them in to our drills so that we can, first of all, teach them what we do, here that's specific to Putnam Valley, our technologies, our protocols, all that, and to have them, learn those systems and to learn our schools. To not, if the first time they're responding here, I don't want that to be the first time they're ever in our school. Where's the gym? Okay, now they know where the gym is. So we partner with them on that. We've been working with Alteris and BOCES Safety Services. I have been working with them both for the last 8 years and they're experts, and I basically try to implement everything that they tell me are the best practices, from soup to nuts, from hardening to protocols to technology to training and that. So we collaborate together with the building administrators. We have building emergency response teams in every school. I go to every meeting. We have a district emergency response team. These teams have been used to continually update and upgrade as things change, as events happen, and we learn more about new threats or new and better ways to do things. And Alteris wanted to do a presentation to tell you all how great a job we do in Putnam Valley. Like, we really are a model for what when they look at they're consultants for schools all over the country, and they use us as a model for what they want other schools to do. And that, because they told me what to do and I just did it. Anyway, and then something else, the training we had, we do training for our staff here, and we moved that training to Superintendent's Conference Day. We make sure that we bring our staff through there, but invariably some people fall through the cracks. They didn't make it that day. There's a cafeteria staff, and then I'm thinking, it's like, wow, what about a substitute teacher who just gets hired, or someone gets hired during the school year, and they don't, and they don't know what to do here in an emergency situation.
Good.
So the first time after Superintendent's Conference Day, we got a list of whoever wasn't there, and I did these like 10 little mini training sessions myself with the custodial staff, cleaning staff, and the kitchen staff in the different buildings and all that. And then I'm talking to Mr. Dan Mahoney here to come up with a training video. First, we used AI to do the video. It wasn't that great, right? It was. I know AI is impressive, but then I had Dan and Kat do a video of basically the cursory training that everybody needs to have here to operate, that now is part of the onboarding process when they hire a substitute, or when they have a link to that and they can watch that video. It's a very short video, but very well done video. Thank you, Dan. That's it. Questions?
The work that you've done, David, is just remarkable, and I love the in-house work, because it does save the district and our taxpayers a ton of money, and it's always top-notch stuff. I mean, you could point out so many different things that your crew has put together under your guidance, and you would think that we went out to contract on every one, but we didn't. We did most of it in-house, and that's a prideful thing.
And our crew is very proud of the work. In fact, when I have outside people come in, they're always like, I would have done it better than that. So they're very proud of the work here. So thank you.
As they should be. I think I said this last year, but you are just so incredibly thoughtful in how you deal with all of the things that fall under your responsibility. So thank you so much. I think that you truly understand that not only should our spaces and our buses and our systems be safe for children, but that they're also beautiful, because beautiful spaces matter. All you have to do is take a look at this cafeteria floor on June 25th, and it is still sparkling the way that it does on the first day of school. And I still haven't figured out how you do it. So you and I need to chat, and then we'll talk about your spreadsheets too, because I love that conversation. Really, the level of care that you put into your work and that your team also puts into their work, which is a direct reflection of your leadership. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that the bus transition to the new company was really smooth. We love our bus driver. My little 5-year-old adores him, thinks that he's like Uncle Tom. It's really been a very smooth transition, and I'm excited about the app. I think that that's wonderful for parents to just, you never know if you got there 1 minute late and your heart starts to race that you're going to get that call from Mrs. Roby at the elementary school. So, all good things to be able to track the buses. I love that you're bringing back kids to work in the summer. That's awesome. And the Eagle Scout project, that's also awesome. Our kids are putting in, a piece of their heart and soul into the schools here in Putnam Valley, so that's great. I think the bathroom renovation, it's one of my pet peeves for kids to have to go to a bathroom that's old and dirty and dingy, and there's really not much you can do. It could be clean, but it just doesn't look clean if it's that old. And so thank you for being creative with that, and I'm glad to hear that the other bathrooms are getting done, because that was going to be a question I had. The fact that you're doing the practice drills with anybody and everyone who could possibly respond in a real emergency, I think is phenomenal. Thank you for thinking about that. I wanted to just mention that I'm sure our video is absolutely amazing. I just want to say that, but Alteris does offer a video on GCN. I don't know if that's been explored, but it might be another layer of support for somebody who maybe forgot a procedure or something like that. And then a question more so for Dr. Luft and Grace. I think there's a great level of care that goes into what our bus drivers do, and they often go above and beyond because they don't have monitors on the bus. I know that even if we created positions of monitors, it would be nearly impossible to fill. My question is, in trying to be creative about our little kindergartners who get on that bus on the first day of school who have no idea what they're doing. My daughter is like really with it, and she was like deer in headlights because mommy had said to her, sit in the front row, because you're a kindergartner, you sit in the front row. But there were already kids sitting in the front row when she got on the bus. And so she looked at me like, Mommy, what do I do? And then full transparency, I tried to get on the bus, and the bus driver was like, you're not getting on that bus. So I'm sure you have footage of me on the first day of school.
our training paying off.
Thank you.
There's
Training.
stranger danger.
Perfect. You know, I was just testing what he was going to do if somebody tried to get on my kid's bus. No, but in all sincerity, first of all, he was very professional in that whole, thing. And my thing was I just wanted her to be sitting with her seatbelt on. And so, as my third child and being in education, it still caused me anxiety in that moment to know that I wasn't sure, particularly just because I couldn't see it for myself if my baby was sitting down with her seatbelt on her first day of school. So my question is, could we potentially post for one of our perhaps current employees just for the first week of school to perhaps get an extra hour or two for the bus ride to school and the bus ride home just as they get transitioned. Now, I will tell you, by day 2, she was good. She knew what to do. She understood the process. But I didn't have a sibling on that bus for her, and I had to ask like another 12-year-old that I didn't even know who he was to help her sit down, or a 10-year-old. So, I'm not sure if that's a feasible thing, but I was thinking about ways to be creative.
That's not a bad idea.
So one of the
That's not a bad idea.
one of the big advantages of our new contract, and it was something that was really a non-negotiable for us, was we reserve the right to place our own staff
Right.
to serve as monitors on their buses.
Great.
Our previous bus contractor would not allow it.
Okay.
So while we haven't necessarily had a conversation about front-loading the first few days of school, I think that's actually a very smart idea and something that we could certainly pursue. We can have any one of our staff members on the bus. In fact, Dave's been a monitor a couple times this
I'm
week.
going to be a monitor tomorrow afternoon.
But that's part of the problem. Everybody wants monitors on every bus.
Right.
And more so than a financial issue, it's a staffing issue.
Right, for
I
sure.
could not find 18 people that are going
Right.
to, 24 people that are going to show up
Right.
here every day to be a monitor on a bus.
Right.
It's nearly impossible.
It is very
To Dave's
challenging.
point, we keep sticking other staff members on buses just to fill vacant monitor spots.
Yeah.
But we do have fantastic aides and teaching assistants and others who are willing. I mean, we have a teacher, Megan Boyle, rides the bus all the time.
Yep.
To help support students. So that's certainly something that we have the ability, first of all, contractually, we have the ability
Great.
to do. And for us, we use it now when we have sort of a hierarchy of bus monitoring, right? It's the bus driver, they do their best to correct the issue. If they're unable to resolve that issue, it moves on to the building staff. We've already trained all our elementary school students. We brought them into the auditorium and we showed them the bus videos, not necessarily with kids in them, but we wanted them to see what we see.
Yeah.
Think about where you sit. Here's the camera that sees that seat. Everything you say and everything you do every day is on that camera. So if you're thinking about doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, that
We're
camera's
watching.
watching you
Right.
right there doing it. So with that referral to the administration comes the bus video.
Right.
So that's our automatic request. So this happened on the bus, here's the video, see for yourself. Because now we can sit down with the child and let them see themselves do the thing that they'll tell their parents
That they didn't do. Yeah, absolutely.
So then the final step of that is if the behaviors are not improving, we've addressed it with the child and with the parents, we've reviewed the video, then our sort of final step is we can temporarily place a staff member on that bus to help ensure that students are acting appropriately. Now, it's not a long-term solution. I can't find someone to volunteer to do it every
Right,
day.
right.
But certainly we have fantastic support staff that would be
Yeah.
willing to do that in short-term times as
Right.
necessary. So that's sort of how that works its way through.
Sure. And
But we could certainly
yeah.
have conversations about the first day of school. It would be interesting to know how many buses have a kindergartner. It's probably just about every.
We need about 25 monitors for the
25
first day of
monitors.
school.
I'll do one. 24.
How many?
20.
I was gonna say that, I could do
If
one.
you let us volunteer, we'll do one.
You know, I
You know.
actually I went and talked with
Well, I
Sandra
can't-
today
yeah, yeah,
from
first day.
Witten's, the food service
Oh, I love
company.
Sandra.
What are they called?
Winston's.
Winston's.
Winston.
Whitson.
Whitson's.
Whitson's. I was used to Aramark for so many years.
Mm.
Anyway, because I asked her if I could recruit some of her staff to be substitute monitors.
Right.
You know, because their schedule, in fact,
The
one of our
timing.
monitors who works for us also works for them.
Right.
And the scheduling works.
Right.
So just trying to pull out all stops to get, you know, it's not a high-paid job,
Right.
but it's also, it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's really not. I
Yeah.
rode around the other day
Yeah.
just riding around the bus. It's easier
Yeah.
than my regular job, that's
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I've often, it's actually a lot of fun too. I hear that Sam is really good at that. He takes the bus tour for all the new teachers.
Yes, yeah, well, okay,
David,
first day of
David,
school,
Yes,
now we only need
that's
22.
amazing.
Yeah.
We're
That's
good.
great. You know, the Whitson's idea is a great one, and I know a lot of schools that utilize that. Additionally, I know that we have lunch monitors at the elementary level, that the schedules may coincide to be a bus monitor / lunch monitor because of the way the hours work. So you guys, I'm sure, have multiple ideas to figure that out. The only thing that I really wanted to come away with suggesting is just in the midst of that transition on that first day of school,
It's tough for
for
them.
those of us who have heart palpitations,
Yeah.
it's good to just have another adult while they're getting used to the bus.
We can
Because
also-
they're babies, some of them are
We can also
4.
establish standards of behavior, and we
Right.
can establish our expectations, and if you get them to do that for a couple days, then
Yeah.
maybe they'll do that for a
They're
lot
quick,
longer.
and then
right?
they're comfortable, and it's fine, you
Yep.
know. It's just that first day of school really matters. I mean, I think to everybody, to the kids certainly most. But yes, and then my last question is, what do you need? Because, and maybe I shouldn't be asking this question, so I apologize if I'm asking it at the wrong time, but it seems like you're very modest department that works extremely hard for the benefit of our children. Like, you're doing a lot for a very small department. And so I pose that question because this is no small task. What you presented tonight was vast information done at the highest level of excellence that has probably given you headaches day in and day out, you know, just to be able to see how you made those bathrooms work, to be able to see how you're making the current field work for our kids. Like, the grounds are extensive. Really, what could you use to support the work a little bit more?
How about I think on it for a minute? I have some ideas, but I'm not going to say them in public right now. I'll talk to
Okay.
Jeremy first.
So you want me to be a little bit nicer too?
The budget presentation.
Yeah, budget time is coming up soon enough.
So, like, really, just think about that, because I know oftentimes, you know, we try to do status quo as much as we possibly can. I think that the district is wonderful in figuring out what we really need and ways to get us what we need and for our children.
Yeah, we've
but-
maintained the same staffing here for the last 8 years.
Yep.
Pretty much within
Right.
one.
And,
Yeah.
and I mean, they do such a tremendous job, but they're human, right? And I can't fathom how you're able to pull out of them what you do. And I think that if we can support, we may or may not be able to, but if we can, we should certainly look at that.
You know, I got to tell you, I appreciate the support. I really do. I sat on this board, as you know, for 7 years, and the support that you guys give me, not only verbally in your compliments, but the trust and the money, the budgets to get done with these capital projects and the other things. I've had wonderful support from Jeremy and before Jill and now Grace. Get fantastic support. So I
Great.
don't want to. I'm good. For
Good.
the most part, but I'll get back to you.
Sounds good.
So
David.
I was just thinking about the bus monitor thing, and well, not a long-term solution. What I was thinking was that first day of school, we stagger start, so the high school only has ninth graders, albeit many of the seniors are here for the freshman foundations, big buddy work.
Right.
But also fifth and sixth grade starts at the middle school that first day. So we actually have a large group of 7th, 8th graders, 10th and 11th graders that don't go to school that day. And I wonder if we can find 25 student volunteers who would come in for a quick little training on what we expect. And
Big
at
buddy on
least
the-
you would know that
Big buddy on the bus.
at least you would know that first day of school, you would have a student assigned, an older
Great
student assigned to that bus to help with at least getting those children buckled their first day to see sort of model what the behavior is, and then hoping they could replicate
That
it
would be
in
a
further days.
wonderful-
Put a
But
junior or a senior on that bus, those kids would be amazed,
Right.
because they really look at the older kids as superstars, they do.
so I just thought of that when you had
That's a
brought it
great
up. I said,
idea.
we have a lot of
That's a
kids that
great
aren't in
That
school
is a
those
great
days.
idea.
I'm sure we would have no problem finding 25 kids to
We can
volunteer in
give
any
them-
community service areas.
We could give them community hours for that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
So it's something I'll discuss with Mr. Mello and possibly Mr. McCarty and figure out if the way to identify those individuals and if that's something we could work towards. They're already our students, they're covered by our insurance, there's no issues with anything like
Yeah.
that, so it seems worth exploring.
Yeah,
Okay.
The hard part's gonna be kindergarten is split the first 2 days, so I gotta free these kids up for an extra day. But I did want to just say a few things about facilities. While I greatly appreciate everything that Dave does, he sometimes sees the worst of me. Something about facilities and transportation brings out my OCD. So he'll go show. He went to show me we did like a pilot bathroom. Like, this is what it could look like. This is how much it cost us if we scale it out 27 times. This is how much it would cost versus bringing in a contractor to do it. So he's showing me all about the bathroom, and I'm like, what's the deal with the fan? What's the deal with the vent? Why is the vent not clear? He's like, everything else was done, but all my eyes saw was the dirty vent. So now he's like, the vents are all being replaced. He makes sure to tell me every time. But he's in my office nearly every day. What's going on? What do I need to know? What's the update? So I give him all the credit in the world, despite my OCD sometimes coming out when it comes to facilities and transportation.
okay. We like your OCD.
Or what transportation email I got today. Dave's done a fantastic job of overseeing, especially that transition to our new bus company, which I could say has actually exceeded our expectations regarding how quickly they were able to come in,
Yeah.
get the equipment here, get their staffing up to speed, and for Dave to really model the expectations that we have for them in Putnam Valley. And that's something that I think we were able to quickly establish. No, that's not going to fly here. You need to fix it. And that's really all thanks to Dave's oversight.
Great.
The other piece is, and I know we always talk about how fantastic our facilities and our grounds are, and that is all very true, and we're all very proud of it. The other piece that Dave had taken on, which he had hinted at Altaris wanting to come, Brian Shanahan, who's our consultant from Altaris, reached out to me just gushing about how amazing Dave has been regarding his leadership of our school safety protocols, partnership with law enforcement, collaboration with Altaris. Like he said before, he attends every BERT team meeting. He facilitates every lockdown drill. He's out there standing with the police officers, directing them. You should know how to open this building because you've been trained. You should know how to get the key because I'm not opening it for you because I'm not supposed to be here. Once you're in, you should know how to access the maps because, again, you've been trained how to do that. So really making sure that all of those things are happening in as real life of a situation as possible, because when they show up and they're standing at the door waiting for someone to swipe them in, if there's really something going on, nobody's coming,
Yeah.
except for maybe me or Dave, who aren't following directions. But it really goes a long way, and I think Brian would do a much better job of articulating all of the things that Dave has done. Reunification is everyone's greatest
Yes.
fear.
Greatest nightmare.
God forbid something happens, to get kids back in the hands of their parents is a tremendous undertaking. And I was amazed when Brian was updating me of all of the things, just in the past year, we have changed regarding the ability to. The plan has always been based on sort of a static location. This one goes here, this one goes there. We won't
Right.
share where because that's supposed to be confidential. But Dave was like, well, what happens if we can't get there? Right? Do we throw our entire plan out the window because we can't get to our predetermined location? So we actually created mobile packs that include everything from laptops and access to preloaded access to a student management system, so we're not reliant on internet service if we
Awesome.
go somewhere else, and discussing what those other locations could be in the event that we couldn't get to our primary reunification piece. And that was something that, like, Brian's like, nobody's even talking about this
Right.
stuff, and you guys have already developed a plan regarding what that would look like.
It's
Right?
amazing.
There was a school recently, they did the reunification on the turf field. I don't think it went so well. We crossed that one off. But it's something that we're prepared for multiple contingencies based upon what it is. And that's something that obviously wasn't part of Dave's job when he was hired, but has become part of his job. And I did want to take a moment to compliment him because really, Alteris, our security consulting company, thinks very highly of him. I think they tried to hire him the other day when I was there. So if Dave leaves us, he's working for Alteris.
They couldn't pay me enough yet.
It's important.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Is it possible to get Zach Fitzmaurice to do just a short presentation or give him Pride in Putnam Valley for his work or something? I don't know. I know he's away and he might, be home over the holidays or whatever. Anyway, I just think, I really appreciate the work that Scouts do for our town. I hear so many of their projects when I'm listening to their, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. When I listen to their presentations about the work that they do, volunteers. So I just think it's always nice to link the actual face to the work. So anyway, if we could get hold of him, that would be good.